Afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. You can catch us live on digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air. You can get us on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon on The Pulse, it's arbitrary and manipulative. That's the strongly worded statement from the National Association of Law Students, who are kicking against a new procedure for the admission into the professional law course of the Ghana School of Law. We'll bring, of course, the details of the concerns of the students, plus get more reactions on the matters. Also, the coalition of newly recruited teachers laments delays in the payment of salaries for close to 10 months. There's more from the group as they point to some other administrative challenges resulting in the unnecessary delay and appealing to authorities to deal with the matter. Also, National Identification Authority expected to resume the replacement of Ghana cards on Tuesday following the extension of the deadline for SIM card registration to September this year. There's more from the NIA and the National Communications Authority here on The Pulse as they ready themselves for extending and expanding access to the registration centers. My name is Sogah. As always, The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Digni Lu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. Don't forget that we're streaming live on all of our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV and also on Facebook as well. Feel free to join us with the hashtag The Pulse. Thanks for staying with us. Well, this afternoon, the National Association of Law Students is kicking against the new procedure for the admission into the professional law course of the Ghana School of Law for the 2022-2023 academic year. Now, per the guidelines issued by the Independent Examination Committee, students are actually expected to undertake to accept without question the decision of the General Legal Counsel in respect of the published results. This, the aggrieved students claim, is arbitrary and signals some predetermination in the admission process leading into the law school. So let's bring you some of the demands which they're making and also the grounds on which they're making these claims in terms of asking the General Legal Counsel to deal with their concerns. So this, first of all, point out that the National Association of Law Students have taken notice and wishes to register the general dissatisfaction with the law students with aspects of the published arrangement and procedure for the admission to the professional law course of the Ghana School of Law for the 2022-2023 academic year. Now, beyond that as well, the group says that the aspects of the General Legal Counsel's directives which they have concerns with has got to do with claims, first of all, that there is some sort of a predetermined admissions. And the students say that they are deeply saddened that irrespective of the actual performance of the entrance examination, the Ghana Legal Counsel, the General Legal Counsel, I should say, is determined to continue to release poorer success rate, not because students actually underperform, but because the predetermined number of applicants to be admitted is 800 out of the 2,500 estimated applicants. These are claims that the students are making, which we cannot independently verify as of now. We'll put that to them shortly. But beyond this as well, the group is indicating clearly that they have some concerns when it comes to the refusal to decentralize the process. So they talk about decentralization and they point out that there's also the problem where, of course, you have an increase in the number of applicants and the backlog, which continues to delay the decentralization of the course to capable law faculties and other educational institutions. And this, they believe, is part of the bigger problem which is facing the issues of admission into the law school. Beyond that as well, the controversial issue has got to do with point 3, which is the issue of the undisclosed pass mark. The students say that they are deeply disappointed about the failure or refusal of the Independent Examination Committee to disclose or to be transparent about the entrance examination. This is where the problem is, because for them, following the Supreme Court decision in the landmark case of Professor Stephen Kwekwasari and the Attorney General, A 50% aggregated score has been the unhidden pass mark in the 2018, 2019, 2020, and also the 2021 pre-election and also election, as well as the post-election year examinations. Now, in light of the unfortunate and wrongful attempts to deny 499 students applications or applicants admission into the Ghana School of Law through a grading variation last year, we, the law school students, find this attempt to further obfuscate an already opaque process and settling, especially at a time when we need to be fully focused on our studies for the examination. That's the whole controversy, and where, of course, the students appear to be unhappy with the General Legal Counsel and the Independent Examination Committee, because they believe that it's time to be more transparent and it's time to also put out the conditions for passing and getting admitted into the law school. But why are they making these claims, and why now? Joining me now via Zoom is Asari Hassan, President of the National Association of Law Students. Thank you for your time. You claim that there's some sort of a predetermined threshold that the General Legal Counsel is working with. On what basis do you, first of all, argue that there are some 800 students who would be admitted into the law school this year?
I think we said that publication. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity. We had already indicated where we can find that, and it was read in Parliament, and that is what we are referring to. It's always been a case of premeditation, in that the material bias of the publication, as long as the exam is concerned, as per the advert we saw, actually confirms what we are saying. Why do I say this? Who goes to write an exam and the pass mark is not stated? That's the number one thing. Number two, even though the pass mark is not stated, you are supposed to accept it as it is without questioning. This is a human institution, so the possibility of a mistake is inevitable. Now, I'm going to write an exam. You're asking me to accept the result without questioning. Now, you cannot even request for the marking scheme. You can't request for a review. You cannot request for a remarking. I, however, must state that in the Ganaku case, it was stated in there that the actions of the GLC was unconstitutional, which is to say that to force students to undertake by signing that I would accept my result without questioning is unconstitutional. When you extend this conversation, we have the CJ sitting as part of the GLC and looking at this injustice being perpetrated against students. Now, how long do we have to go on with this? Because year in, year out, we come back to this same issue. Now, last year, if some of us did not wake up to talk against some of these illegalities, 499 students would have been denied. How long must we go on with this? And it's not that we don't have the ability to think through this. It is just deliberate, and it's something that is very frustrating. We need to stop it at some point, and we think there's a time.
But for you to claim that well, there's some predetermined figure that the General Legal Counsel is working with, you agree is not accurate, because that's not official, is it?
No, it needn't be official.
Yeah, but you don't have any document to prove that. That's what I'm pointing you to.
Well, that would not be right or accurate. Why are you stopping us from requesting for remarking or showing us a marking scheme? What is your motive for taking those actions? That's what we need to question. Because if you think it is a free and fair kind of exams, allow us to ask for a review. How do you tell me that to enter the law school, you are denying me from requesting for a review or requesting for you to show me the marking scheme? But when you enter the law school, students have the right to request for their scripts to be reviewed. I mean, in one vein, you are saying it's not right. In the other vein, you are saying it's okay. So where do we stand as a country? I don't think that is fair. And it's something that must stop.
You're pointing to us now that you have a number of options available to you, including legal redress as well. Tell us about it.
Well, legal redress, because as I reiterated, the Ganaku case actually declared this undertaking unconstitutional. We have the right to go back to court on that matter. That's one. Demonstration is also something that we love to do. So if it becomes necessary, would use that. We are trying to engage to see how many people we can talk to or through to ensure that this problem is resolved once and for all. But year in, year out, we come back to this. We also think if the private member bill had been out by now, some of these things would not be happening. So we are also calling on the legislature. RTI is also one thing that we are also stretching out. We are also looking at to also come out to talk on this matter, because if they are saying the right to information, and this information of even what the pass mark is not available to us, that is problematic. We are also calling on CSOs, anybody who thinks this is unreasonable, to speak against this, because we will not stop until the right thing is done. You can't tell us I'm going to write an exam, I don't have the right to a marking scheme, I cannot request for a remarking, when it is a human institution and mistakes are inevitable. I mean, that is not right. We can't go on like this as a country. And we believe we can do it, so we should do it and do it as soon as possible.
Well, for some independent watchers, the belief is that you may not be successful at the latest attempt you're making. In fact, we're just pointing out on the screens earlier the demonstration last year. It's a part of a series of protests that have taken place over the years, and the movement appears not to be making any progress in terms of getting legal reforms. Why do you think there'll be a difference now?
To say that there would not be a legal reform is something that would be speculative. To the best of my knowledge, the private member bills we saw last year, if not early this year, coming from members of parliament, trying to resolve the issue, it's a good step that I think we should follow through. We need to push. It doesn't matter. They can deny us 100 times. We'll come back 100 times, because this is not right. And they are supposed to be the keepers or gatekeepers, where when we have issues, we go back to say resolve it for us. So if these people are perpetrating this illegality against us, it is something that is very worrying. You wonder when I have a problem, whether or not I can go back to these same people. So it is something that we think we can resolve. It is easy to resolve. And I feel we should just sit at the table, resolve it once and for all. That is why we propose that if they think they don't have capacity to accommodate, they should let the faculties run it. And then they can sit as WAEC, just like the way WAEC works, and then organize exams for us to come and write. Whoever passes, passes and becomes a lawyer. I mean, that is very easy. So yeah, I don't know why they are trying.
But you're being oversimplistic on such a crucial matter. You do agree that even there are structural problems confronting legal education in Ghana, the issue about infrastructure, it's always come up. So these are some of the root matters confronting or challenging the system. You agree? It's not as though we can open the floodgates now and everybody goes in. I'm not sure that's what you're expecting.
There is nothing like a floodgate here. I think you got to. Now, we have infrastructural problems because of two things. Number one, a group has decided to monopolize the whole thing. That's number one. Number two, they have decided to gaslight the whole system. The last time that we talked about this thing, they took bulldozers and whatever to the site, I mean the Law Village, to show us as though something is going on, and nothing was happening. And for us, we think that if they want to solve the problem, and they open up to, let's say, the faculties come in to teach, and then they become like the examination council. We are not saying open the floodgate, because you have a pass mark. Any student who missed that bar, it's called to the bar. So for us, we are not saying open the floodgate. We are saying that it is possible to allow the faculties to also run this whole thing you are running that you're having problems with, and then you become the examination body to ensure that people meet the criteria to become lawyers. It shouldn't be difficult. And to add to that, it is a provision in our law. There are documents to support it. It's in the Constitution. It's in another document that I don't remember right away. But it is there. The provision is there. So we should just enforce this, and the problem is resolved.
But then it cannot be done overnight. You agree?
Of course, but at least it needs to begin from somewhere. Unfortunately, we are not even seeing that initiation. Nothing is happening. That's what the problem is. If we see them moving or starting something, then we can work with goodwill to say that this is the end point, a year, two. But this thing, I don't believe would work, because in 2018, this same issue came up and they said we are working towards it. This is the fourth year. So do they really want to do it is the question. How long do we have to wait on this thing? In any case, does it profit anybody to deny very smart students from going to school?
Yeah, but that's your claim. You're claiming they are smart. In fact, the very last time we heard from the Chief Justice, for instance, on this matter, during his vetting, he made it so clear that there's the issue of falling standards within the legal profession itself. You agree?
The question I have to ask is, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the standards are up there? That's number one. Number two, Referencing the 499 case, for example, you have 499 students who are going to be denied, yet they pass the exam. So when I say smart students, I'm referring to people like the 499. So by the ruling that they were going to use to actually deny students, somebody could have had 78%, be denied access to legal education, but the one who had 50 could have gone through. And I believe that some of these things must stop. Last year, I read somewhere, if not this year, that others went through freely without writing an exam. You think it is okay to allow people to go through concessionary means, and it's okay, but somebody writes an exam and pass, and the person should stay home. We need to resolve this problem. I don't think it's fair. We are asking for fairness. We are asking that there should be transparency. We are asking that we should make it available for students who actually pass this exam to go to school. They are going to pay their school fees anyway. So what is the problem? Why is the GLC making it so difficult for anybody to read law in the country, as if it is anything? Yet you go to places like the Attorney General's office, they are lacking lawyers. You go to legal aid, they are lacking lawyers. You go to in Sawem, people are remand for years. They need lawyers. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Who does it benefit? So I think this problem has to be resolved, and as soon as possible, it has to be done. Because we are not going to stop. If they won't stop, we won't stop. It doesn't look like we are going to stop anytime soon anyway. So we think that either they resolve it as soon as possible, or we can also use the Parliament can use the private member bill to actually resolve this once and for all. Otherwise, we are not going to stop. If we have to demonstrate every year to get this problem resolved, we'll go ahead with it.
In the end, the argument faces you or stares you in the face. The issue about the law profession being a noble profession. We've heard that on countless occasions. And I'm sure perhaps it's part of the reason why the General Legal Counsel is not opening up. What's your take on that?
I think they shoot themselves in their foot by even using those languages. It looks like they don't understand. Because a noble profession, and you sneak people into the school to go and read law. What kind of nobility is this? Number two, what is the criteria for determining that one is noble? Is it not about how we are able to express ourselves through the exams we take? For you to call us to the bar, we have been meeting it. The question is, why aren't they opening up? So that, you see, my argument has been one, that if 90% of the students, in fact 99, fail the exam, fail them, I don't have a problem with it. But when 99% also pass the exam, take them in. But you are saying that, no, you want to micromanage the numbers by reducing the numbers.
But the problem and the challenge we have with your argument is that you're reducing, for instance, admission into the law school to simply an academic exercise. So, something that should be some distinguishing factor in terms of the admission process, I guess, and not just the issue about academics. The law comes in practice, you agree?
To the best of my knowledge, no other criteria has come as long as going to the professional law course is concerned. It has to do with the figures, the marks that you get as a student. If you pass, you pass. If you fail, you fail. Nothing more. Yes, there may be other things like going through a police report or police search or something and those kind of things. But those are more administrative. But other than that, it has always been the marks. So if they call it a noble profession, maybe they need to define what they understand or mean by noble. Because as long as we are concerned, it's about the marks, and we are meeting it. So they should open up. If they think they cannot open up, or they don't have the space, as the president said, we should look at using the faculties to get this problem solved. And then they can sit as an examination body to resolve, to oversee to the examinations. I think that's the best that we can suggest to them. Because to us, we are doing everything necessary. They are just using illegal means to just frustrate and worry. Students shouldn't be thinking at this time about marks and all those things at this point. We should be concentrating to actually make it to the law school. But we are worried about what is the pass mark. They don't say anything, and then they say you cannot review, you cannot request for a marking scheme. Who does this? It's unheard of. Nobody does this. It's very unreasonable.
Yeah, but you claim that admission into, well, I don't know if you're being specific with the Ghana School of Law, has only been on grounds of academics, can't be challenged, you agree? Because some other jurisdictions make use of the pupillage system, right?
Well, fortunately, I'm talking about Ghana. And I have not seen anything untoward or different from what I've spoken about. And I feel that it is time we sit down and resolve this problem once and for all.
Let's talk about let's talk about your next steps briefly. What are we to see from you in the coming days? And some indicating now that we've seen it all: demonstration, protest. In fact, at some point, I guess 2 years ago, it turned very, very rowdy, and there was a clash even between the security services and the law students. It never seems to go away. So what are we to see from your group in the coming days?
Well, I was part of the 2019, and I remember what happened. I was the lead for 2021, and I've been part of the petitioners. I was part of the petitioners in 2019. So for us, we are law-abiding. We won't break any rule, but anything that we can do to ensure that this thing is resolved, we will do it. So at the moment, we are still in talks as to the next line of action, because the first thing to do was to send this pressure, after which we have another meeting on Wednesday. We are looking at all the options on the table. Anything that we can do, we will do. If it has to get to demonstration, if it has to do with going to the court, if it has to do with doing anything, but we'll do it within the legal way. We won't do anything illegal. So you can be sure that the options are open, and would press on any of them.
Fortunately, you have a president who himself is a lawyer. Perhaps his interest may be very keen in these matters. You petitioned last year, I guess. What has come of that petition?
I think the petition was in two forms. One was to admit the 499, which he did, and it's something that we need to applaud him for. The next thing is to open up legal education. So far, we've not heard anything as long as that portion is concerned. But to the best of my knowledge, I know there was a private member bill that was in fact, it was drafted, and unfortunately, it's gathering dust at Parliament at the moment. So we would have to go and look at what is going on there, what has transpired so far, and see if we can get him to actually speak to them to facilitate it quickly. That is, if it came from his side to actually push this, because I heard the Attorney General saying that they were looking at some documentation in that sense. I'm not sure where they've got into, but for what I know Parliament has drafted something. I'm not sure about what has happened with the executive. So we'll still knock on doors if need be. We'll still call on people if need be, and see to the conclusion of this matter.
Hassan, I'm grateful for your time here on The Pulse, and we'll keep an eye on the developments and bring you some more updates. But let's take you to one of the stories we've been focusing on all through this hour. The Gas Tanker Driver Association has actually begun a nationwide strike over what it says is government's refusal to reopen some gas stations closed after the 2017 gas explosion at the Atomic Junction here in Accra. Now, the association also says some unresolved welfare issues are part of the reasons for which this strike will continue. Meanwhile, the LPG outlets, as we understand, are not serving customers in solidarity with the gas tanker drivers. James Ishon has been monitoring and touring some of the outlets.
We've seen a lot of cars and a lot of people coming here to refill their cylinders, but unfortunately what we are being told is there's no gas. There's a metallic board that is being written on, sorry, no gas. And we understand that is linked to the sit-down strike with respect to the Gas Tanker Association of Ghana. And I have a lady here who also came some few minutes to refill her cylinder, but unfortunately after seeing this, she decided to go back. So let me engage her and know what were some of the things she was being told. Hi. You're here to fill your cylinder. Tell me, what were some of the messages you were being given?
Okay, I came here this afternoon, but unfortunately for me, when I came, I was told there is no gas. So already I've been to Alajo, but the same situation. I came here, same situation. So that's why I came. Right,
but you were not given any message with respect to whether they are on strike or not?
Oh, okay. As at now, when I came, I realized they were on strike. So the gas tankers are on strike. That is the main reason why my gas hasn't been filled as at now.
Right, so this is what is coming from this young lady. She's been here for almost an hour now trying to fill her cylinder, but unfortunately, after seeing this, she has no option than to go back. We're trying as much as possible to speak to the authorities, but it appears they are really not also ready. But earlier, our attempt to speak to some of the tanker drivers proved futile. All attempts proved futile. Let's speak to the manager of this particular gas refilling station to know what the situation is and why we have that metallic board being written, "Sorry, there is no bus." Let's engage him briefly here to know what the situation is like. All right, so we have here Mr. Bernard. He is the manager of this particular refilling gas plant, and we want to know why we have that inscription as "Sorry, no gas." Mr. Bernard, talk to me. What's really the situation now?
The situation is up to the MPA. They complain that the MPA are worrying too much. Sometimes when they lift the load to the destination, in case they're broken vehicle somewhere and they didn't get to their destination, MPA will not pay their transport. And mostly when it happens like this too, it affects them. And they say because of that they will go to strike. So the government will come in and do something about it.
But how is this affecting you?
It's affecting us a lot because you can even imagine we're not even selling. When we start this morning, we start the morning, start selling, and they had to stop because they're on strike. And also take advice from the executives. Yeah.
Right, we've seen you turn away a lot of cars and also individuals who are in to refill their cylinders. But are you not communicating any messages? Are you just going with what we've seen here?
No. I told them they were on strike. The tanker drivers are on strike. So there's nothing we can do unless the government comes. So we are waiting for the government. What can?
All right. So basically, they are waiting for the government. They're calling on the government to try as much as possible to pay heed to some of the concerns from these gas tanker drivers.
And James Shanda with the latest from the various outlets. Would definitely keep our eyes there and bring you some updates. But JoyNews is learning that newly recruited teachers have not been paid monthly salaries for well over 6 months. Now, the coalition of the newly recruited teachers who attribute this development to the delay in the issuance of staff identification cards is also indicating that the situation has forced many recruits to depend on their parents for feeding and other needs at their new stations. Well, the group says that it will be helpful if the Ghana Education Service would expedite the issuance of the staff ID cards in order to help recruits get their payments done on time. So let's bring you excerpts of their concerns. First of all, pointing out that the leadership of the coalition of newly recruited teachers appreciate the efforts of the government of Ghana through the Ghana Education Service to secure the financial clearance to post over 16,000 of its members. However, the leadership would like to draw the attention of the general public to some facts. First of all, the financial clearance of 16,850 newly posted teachers was released on the 19th of November 2021. There's also the point about some appointment letters to the newly posted teachers being released on the 21st of January 2022, which took effect on the 1st of February 2022. Now, about 80% of the newly posted teachers have not received their staff IDs, let alone their salaries. So those who have gone through the biometric process after the list of the second batch was released and have not received their salaries as of the 1st of August 2022. And this situation is not supposed to be as is contained in the statement. Most newly recruited teachers, as we understand, have also been forced to leave on their parents, as the group is indicating, and their meager pocket money to, deal with serious hardship resulting from the non-payment of their salaries for the whole of the 6 months. And at the same time, the Ghana Education Service continues to expect them to show up at work each and every day, which is obviously an irony that the group is pointing out to. And also, at point 6, the group is indicating that the vacation date for basic schools still stands at 11th of August 2022, and an attempt by the Ghana Education Service to continuously release staff IDs during the break will result in some inconveniences for the newly recruited teachers. But beyond this as well, the group is appealing, as we're seeing here, to the Ghana Education Service and all stakeholders involved, so the process can be expedited in terms of issuance of the staff IDs to allow all newly recruited teachers accompanied with a scheduled date for a biometric process, because they believe that this will help solve their problem. So let's hear from the group now. Joining me is Joshua Owusu-Yeboah. He's the Press and Information Secretary of the coalition. Joshua, thanks for your time. How hard has it been for you in the last 6 months, having to work without your salaries paid to you?
All right, thank you very much, and I also thank you for giving me such a great opportunity.
Right. I was just asking the question about how hard it has been for you as the coalition of newly recruited teachers, knowing that some of your members have been working for close to 6 months without receiving your salaries.
All right, thank you very much. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy at all, because we all understand the hardship in this country, and having people who have worked for more than 6 months and these individuals have not been paid is very tedious for us. And as we rightly captured in our release, we have been made to subject to our parents for them to give us some things for us to live on it. Meanwhile, these individuals have sent us to school, and they expect that if nothing at all, now that we have been posted, we can also support the family. But this case has changed, and that is why we are appealing to the Ghana Education Service and the other stakeholders who are involved to expedite the process, because we, the newly recruited teachers, we are suffering. And this
so at the time the staff IDs were being issued, what guidelines were you giving as a group?
Okay, so when the staff, I think we have 2 staff IDs in batches, which has come. The first one that came, I think all our membership, those who had their own, they were told to come to the headquarters, in Accra, at NATS Hostel, for them to go through the biometric process. And the second one too, that came, we also had our constituents where they told them to go to their various regions so that they can go through the biometric process. But after these 2 batches, we have not heard anything from GES. And this is a situation which has never happened before. For over 6 months is something that is long overdue. And that is why we have come out with this release.
And from what you're telling us now, is this a general problem for the numbers that you were talking about? Almost all your members, 80% as you're pointing out to.
Yes, it is a general problem. It is a general problem.
Yeah, but how about the 20%? On what grounds are they receiving their salaries?
Okay, so this is how GS normally go through the process.
Right.
When we release the staff ID, they release it in batches. So that is why the first batch, they have the opportunity to get their staff ID, and they went through the biometric process. And the second one too, it came. But after the second one, we were waiting that at least they should also release the other batches, so that our people who are suffering will also get the opportunity to also go through the biometric process so that they'll be paid. But as it stands now, we understand. So when we read through our release, we stated categorically that we understand that the staff ID, they release it in batches. But for over 6 months, it's something that is long overdue. And I want to bring this one in. The Honorable Minister for Education had appeared on Asase Radio, of which he said that even it is not supposed to be more than 3 months. So he has even accepted the fact that it is not supposed to be 3 months. So the question we are asking is what is really happening in the GS.
Yeah, but the grounds on which you'd receive your salary is, being pointed out clearly, is that you need the staff ID. That will prove that indeed you are staff of the Ghana Education Service. For those of your members who delayed in registering, I guess it's part of the reasons why we're where we are today, because the 20%, as one would argue, showed up on time, went through the process, and now they have their staff IDs.
All of us have gone through the process. It is not a matter that maybe somebody has gone through the process before the others two went, and it is because of late registration that has resulted to this. No. I can even pinpoint to the fact that there are some people who did late registration, but their own has come. they are receiving their salary. So this is not a matter of late registration. We are all done with our registration. We have gone through the IPPD forms and other things. We have filled everything, of which we expect that this biometric process and the issuance of the staff ID didn't start for a very long time. But here in the case, these things have not happened.
I'm interested in finding out the level of collaboration that's taking place and engagements between your group and that of the Ghana Education Service or the Ministry of Education. What more do we know about the engagements that have gone on?
We are going to do that. But what really triggered this one is that we had our Honorable Minister who even said that he doesn't understand why even the delay is going on. That is the pronouncement from our Honorable Minister. And we understand that definitely this engagement needs to go on. We are scheduled meeting with GES, of which we are going to have a meeting to get the reason why this has delayed. So definitely this engagement is going to go on. So it has been long.
Right. So what's the worst case scenario? What's likely to happen if the payments further delay? At least the staff IDs are not out, which means that controller may not be able to release the payments to your group.
Okay, now we believe in our stakeholders. I've been a leader for teacher trainings. We believe in our stakeholders. We believe in the Honorable Minister. This is a passionate appeal that all the newly recruited teachers are appealing to the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service. We don't want you to reach to a level where you will be held to the ground to take any decision. So we are appealing to the government that the newly recruited teachers, we are suffering. Working for more than 6 consecutive months without pay is something that is very worrying. So we are appealing to the government. We don't want to have any alternative. This is a passionate appeal. We don't want any alternative. All that we want is our staff ID and the payment of our salary. Newly recruited teachers are suffering, and we just want them to, or we want their parents to feel proud that at least we have sent our people to school, they have gotten work, they are working, so at least they can also support the family. But in a situation where those of us who they've spent money on us, we're also relying back on them, it is very bad. So this is the passionate appeal.
Right, and Joshua, but we know that some unconfirmed sources are pointing out that the cards, some of them may be issued by the 11th of August this year. You still say that you have a challenge with that date for, these ones of some more cards.
You see, 11th of August is the exact date that will be leaving for vacation. So in a situation whereby staff ID will be released, that it means that you need to go back to our regions to do the biometric process. And Honorable, let me be frank here. We have some people who are living in Western region. They have been posted to far upper West. And in the middle of vacation, you release staff ID and you expect such individuals to go back to their region. And
but why not? That's your station. So you don't expect the Ghana Education Service to now follow up, go after you after your cards are printed.
We understand that. We understand that. That is why we are appealing to them to expedite the process, so that now that we are in school, we are in a place of post, we can do this to reduce the inconveniences. Because imagine someone in the Western...
No, I'm sorry for cutting through, but what would be the inconvenience here? You are complaining of your salaries not being paid. The cards, as we understand, some of them will be ready by August 11. You're saying because of, your vacation, you would not be able to stay at post just to settle that issue. Then it appears you don't really need the salaries, do you?
Let me come in here. I'm not saying that we will not stay at our post so that we will not do it. We will definitely do that. But that is why this is a passionate appeal. We are just appealing to them. It can even come closer so that we can do it right after our vacation, then we leave. Probably our main focus is to get our staff ID, do our biometric, and get paid to get us relief from all the hardship that we are going through. So this is the passionate appeal that although per your source, you are saying that by 11, some of the staff IDs will be in, but you're also appealing to them that due to some of the inconveniences that it will bring when it is released at that particular time, they're just appealing to them. That probably they can bring it closer so that when we are done with it, some of us can go. Because imagine that you are in northern west Savannah region going back to Upper East, and right after your vacation, they will call you that your staff ID should get back. We love our salary. We want the salary.
Right, but Joshua, I just hope that we'll not lose sight of the fact that we're in times of austerity, and that could affect the payment of your salaries as well. Some 6 months, that's what's in arrears. The point is, are you expecting all of that money, 6 months together?
Oh, sure. Surely we are expecting the entire money. And definitely, I trust GS and Controller and Accountant General Department that they are going to do justice to it. Because those of our colleagues who have received their salary, they received it full. And definitely, we believe strongly that we are also going to receive our full month salary. Okay,
then. Let's see what happens in the coming days. I'm grateful, Joshua, for your time here on The Pulse. But still ahead, we're looking at this. Ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, is calling on Parliament to crack the whip, if need be, on all 3 MPs who absented themselves from Parliament for more than 15 sitting days. According to him, absenteeism should not be glorified, and MPs who go against the rules should be dealt with. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa made the call while addressing students of the Simon Diedong University of Business and Development and Integrated Development Studies in WA.
The ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, noted that there is leadership crisis in the world, which has thus resulted in the many conflicts, chaos, and social tensions and upheavals in some countries. Narrowing it to Ghana, he described President Akufo-Addo's failure to relieve Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Sarah Jossafo, from her position for a year as leadership paralysis. Though he welcomed her sacking, it was long overdue.
Leadership paralysis, weak leadership. It just tells you that, it's as though this country is on autopilot, and we don't seem to have our priorities right. So the whole episode is one that has been really, shambolic, really embarrassing. It's not one of the high points of the president's, leadership examples that he has exhibited over the years, and I think that we need a new mindset, about the kind of ministries that we should give priority to, that are so important, that will really impact on our people.
Turning to the issue of absenteeism in Parliament, the North Tongue legislature stated that absenteeism should not be glorified, urging Parliament to crack the whip in same measure for the trio.
High standards, and those high standards should apply fairly across the board. It shouldn't be that, because now there's a hung parliament, or now we need, somebody to be ready on call. We needed her for E-levy, she wasn't there, so let's punish her. Or, the numbers are so thin now that, no, this principle should apply at all times, whether there's a comfortable majority, whether it's a hung parliament, whether the ruling party is not having a majority in parliament, is probably in minority in parliament. You see, at all times, principles are one and indivisible and should be applied at all times. So I would not want a discriminatory implementation of the processes that have been initiated.
On Ghana's return to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, he said it is a systematic failure which should not be tolerated.
We have not built a strong economy, formidable, and all of us must admit, across the political divide, we have to accept that. You see, when we allow matters to become, the usual political football, and we reduce them to the petty, charlatanic politics that we engage in, we lose the big picture. I am saying the big picture here. Let us resolve that this 18th time will be the last time. Nobody's going to IMF is better than the other. It's all symptoms of failure. let us resolve that we will even learn from the Cubans. Can you imagine that Cuba has been under blockade, has been under sanctions for more than 50 years, and yet Cuba has shown such resilience? Can't we learn from countries like that? So how is it that the little shock, gold prices have gone down, oil prices have gone up, there is a pandemic, and look, what this pandemic and Russia-Ukraine war and all of that has showed us is that we have degrees of leadership and competence, let's admit it.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam.
Well, let's stay in the Upper West region. Regional Minister there has observed that though the Upper West region has enormous human resource for its required development, it is still lagging behind because of disagreements in politics, religion and chieftaincy. He therefore urged the people to unite for the speedy development of the region. Dr. Hafiz bin Sali made the statement at the opening of some law chambers by former president of the Upper West region's chapter of the Ghana Bar Association.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Sali noted that the region is endowed with all the requisite human resources, and what is left for the people is to come together and harness those resources for the speedy development of the region. He penciled 3 of the issues which has plagued the development of the region and which needs to be put on the back burner.
Let's do away with the little and petty grumblings in the area of politics, religion and chieftaincy, and hold together. Once we hold together, we'll make the Upper West region a shining place for people to come and then learn from us.
Dr. bin Sali revealed that the Simon Diedon Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, SDD UBITS, will soon run courses on law, urging the people to take advantage of it.
When the faculty begins to call for admissions, people should apply, acquire the needed knowledge, and come and then serve our dear region.
The opening of the law chambers in the region by lawyer Clement Iledi is the second in a year after lawyer Tedio Sori at Law Consult. Lawyer Clement Iledi sees the opportunity to talk about other facets of development which has been overlooked over the years, retracing the route of his personal development when he was called to the bar 35 years ago.
When we talk development, people are thinking about mortar and brick. But mortar and brick is not the only development. Development also means that we have to bring services to the doorstep of our people. Almost 35 years ago, when I was called to the bar, I was the first resident lawyer in Upper West from Upper West. And like the president said, for our young colleagues, you will see a lady today and think I flew to be where I am. I didn't fly. It is by dint of hard work. I started on foot. I rode a bicycle for national service. I rode a motorcycle. And indeed, my people in the chambers today tells me when he wanted to be a lawyer, his friends will say, but you want to be like a lady, riding a motorcycle.
A view equal shared by Senior State Attorney at the Office of the Attorney General's Department, Lawyer Saeed Abdul Shakur, who sees the practice of law in the region as purely sacrificial.
There are not too many lawyers who are prepared to sacrifice and work from Upper West region. Working in Upper West region is obviously sacrificial because the biggest thing they will give you is at some point, Munnasumi and Baraka, that's what we have. We have been using the Munnasumi and Baraka. Probably that's what is keeping us alive. But I'm saying that it is not all about money. Sometimes the satisfaction we get when we avail our service to our people is better than any money anybody can give to us.
President of the Upper West Region chapter of the Ghana Bar Association, Lawyer Obedu bin Siddiq, urged colleague lawyers to open up more chambers in the region, but not in a hurried manner.
Even though it has taken Senior Iledi a number of years or decades to open a chambers. I am aware he was practicing with Senior Sore. But the point I want to make is that it is not a matter of opening chambers, but you should do it at the time that it is ripe for you to do it. Let's don't hurry.
Also at the function was former Upper Region Minister, Engineer Amin Suleimani.
We all know the role that lawyers play in society, and I will just end up by urging that they should continue not just trying to be our client, but also direct us to stay away from trouble so that we don't come to pay monies to them. It's part of your education to educate us to stay away from trouble.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam.
And thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. We're taking a break.
10 minutes to get your SIM card re-registered here at Aja. That's the MTN office at Aja. Now, it's unclear why we are not seeing the huge numbers that we witnessed here last week. The MTN officials here believe that if people should wait till the last day for the extension, it will be a challenge for them to get hooked onto the system or for their SIM cards to be re-registered for them. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
In view of the extension, the National Identification Authority has indicated that it will resume the replacement of cards for the national identification. That will be on Tuesday. Excerpts of the notice here on your screens for you now, pointing out that the National Identification Authority wishes to inform the general public that there will be no identity management services, which is the replacement of lost cards, updating of personal records, and also the correction of errors at the Elwak Sports Stadium. You do know that a lot of people have been thronging the Elwak Sports Stadium, trying as much as possible to get the replacement done before the deadline expires. But from what we're getting from the National Identification Authority, it appears that that would not happen today. And what we do know is that for now, which is Monday, for today, which is Monday, the 1st of August, 2022, all of these services would not be available. But you have a chance to do that once more tomorrow when the Elwak Center reopens, which is the 2nd of August 2022. So the National Identification Authority says that any inconvenience that may be caused is deeply regretted. And we also will be monitoring the space and bring you some updates as and when we have them. Now, children in Boteman, a town in the capital Accra, are actually compelled to walk for some long distances and through a stream to enjoy the right to education. Now, this is because the bridge on the stream collapsed and has been abandoned since then. I spent, of course, JoyNews' Kujo spent some time monitoring some of these children who have been crossing the stream and filed this report.
This is what residents here in Boteman call the Boteman Storm Drain. Some even prefer to call it a river. It is located between Kanewu and this community, around the old Zoomlion recycling factory on the Tema motorway. It flows through Boteman and crosses the motorway through Community 18 into the sea. Young school kids are left with no option but to cross this river every day to school. Kwesi lifts young children who cannot cross the stream on their own. I'm told this is a daily occurrence. Abigail is a basic 5 people who lives in Boteman and schools at Kanewu near Ashaiman. She's been crossing this river to school for the past 2 years. She says the situation makes schooling difficult for her and the kids here in Boteman.
Sometimes cars pass here, they fall inside the water. That's what I say.
What does it mean to you? Do you become afraid to go to school? What is it?
Please, yes. I'm afraid for that. But if rain fall, the river, you don't, how the way we cross the road and go to the school, we don't get it.
It is not only Abigail who is concerned. Mr. Soyi is the proprietor of Ask God Preparatory School, the school Abigail attends. He has to carry his students to cross the river on a daily basis. He tells me the problem is forcing many kids to stay home without going to school.
This place has been a big challenge, especially the vulnerables. We have a city here or a town here called Botemai. A lot of students are there. Every day, you have not even seen anything. If it rains and nobody can pass here, meaning all the children have to stay home without learning that day. That is what we are going through. A whole lot of students are dead in this water. And we have called on, speaking out, crying out, no help. So we are still calling on our leaders and parents and the whole Ghana, our president, and everybody as a whole, stakeholders, to see to this bridge so that we can save our vulnerables, our future leaders, and make their life bright.
How many children have died? You said children have died. How many have died here?
If I cannot count at all, I think not less than 3 I've witnessed, but they are more than that, far more than that, Director.
But apart from this, are there no other route that kids can use to go to school?
Not at all. This is the only access to this town. There's no road. There's another one here. That one too, there's a gata. You can't cross. So all the children, most children are staying home because they can't have access to cross the place to school.
Young Abigail said she and other children in the community want to go to school, and it is their wish that government fixes the bridge for them.
Please, we want President to come and do our road for us because we cannot go to the school. If rain fall, the road is no good for the children to cross the way. That's what I wanted to say for the president.
For Abigail and her friends and all other residents of this community, this is a prayer for a better day to come, for their bridge to be constructed. They can only hope for a brighter day someday. For JoyNews, I am Samuel Kojo Brace, Boteman.
Well, kindergarten pupils at Faninama Basic School in the Kintampo North Municipality of the Bono East region have been forced to study under trees several months after a rainstorm destroyed the school's kindergarten block. The school is also without toilet facilities, forcing the over 600 pupils and teachers of the school to resort to open defecation. Authorities say the current situation is affecting general academic activities of the school, and authorities are appealing to government to intervene. And Asabit has more in this report.
This is the Faninama Basic School. The school, located few meters away from the Kintampo North Municipal Assembly, currently has a population of over 600 pupils. KG1 and 2 pupils of the school are currently forced to study under trees several months after parts of this pavilion accommodating them had its roof ripped off by torrential rainstorm. Florence Anoma is the head of the KG department of the school.
And the reason is our structure, the KG structure, is at the death trap, so you can't stay there. That's why we are under the tree. Because if anything happens, it will cause damage to the children. So we have to come to sit under the tree till they finish the structure for us.
She says the current situation is heavily affecting academic activities, especially during the rains.
Mostly it affects the way we teach, because under the tree there's no board for you to write on, unless you go and bring the children their exercise book for them to write. After that, you send it back. When it's about to rain, we join the primary children in the class. After the rain, then we close. Because the place is so wet, you can't come and sit under the tree.
For the assistant headmaster of the school, Oti Joseph, his greatest worry has to do with the fact that some parents have decided to take away their walls from the school due to the current situation.
When somebody comes and he sees the condition of the school, he may not like to bring the ward here. And some people have also taken their wards away because of the situation. So actually it is affecting enrollment.
Amongst the school's tall list of challenges is the absence of a toilet facility for the over 600 pupils and teachers of the school. Michael Hapori is the headmaster of the school. He laments that the pupils of the school are resorting to open defecation, which is affecting the people living in the area.
Here we face a lot of challenges. One is that our classrooms are overpopulated, they are overcrowded, which makes teaching very difficult. The other challenge is about our toilet facility, because the school has been established for decades ago, and up to now, we don't have any toilet facility.
Not even a single one?
Not even a single one. So anytime the children want to ease themselves, free themselves, they have to go to the bush. And even some 3 days ago, a woman came here complained that they've been easing around her house. So we should warn the children not to come again. So it's also a very big challenge.
This is affecting teaching and learning, as several teaching hours are lost as teachers travel to their homes whenever they have to attend the nature's call.
In fact, when it comes to the teachers, some of them have to travel back to their homes to go and ease themselves and come, and this takes a lot of time. The children too, some also cross the road to the other side of the road to ease themselves in the bush, and there was a time a child was knocked down by a vehicle through that activity. So it's a very big challenge. And the children too, because they go to the bush, they have to travel far. And this sometimes will be the teacher will be in the classroom and the child have to travel to a very far place to ease himself or herself before he or she will come back. And this has been posing a lot of challenges to us.
Michael Hapori, however, disclosed that even though the assembly sent experts to assess the situation, nothing is being done about it.
The MC also made his people to come and look at a site for a toilet, but since then we've not heard anything from them again.
He therefore appealed for support from municipal authorities and other philanthropists.
Our plea that they should come to our aid by way of getting us additional classroom blocks, toilet facility, to make our work easier for us.
Alan Sabit, Joy News, Kintampo.
Must take steps to address the growing grievances of members of the Fulani ethnic group in the country. This is the call made by a respected and influential Ghanaian-based Fulani Imam, Sheikh Sidi. According to him, harassment of Fulani communities by local law enforcers and targeted communal mob violence is actually followed by the lack of justice, which is increasing the sense of victimization and exclusion amongst Fulanis. There's more in this report by Elias Otanko.
In 2014, the government of Burkina Faso asked a respected Fulani religious leader based in Ghana to help provide transhuman herders who migrate seasonally to Ghana with Burkinabe national identity cards so they will be hassle-less at border crossings. The Sheikh obliged and traveled across Ghana collecting herders' information, later distributing the cards. He estimated that he had helped register a few hundred people, all of whom listed him as their emergency contact. 4 years later, the Burkinabe military killed 5 jihadist militants in a firefight. When the military checked their identification, they noticed the jihadists had all listed the Sheikh as their emergency contact. The Burkinabe intelligence agencies alerted the Ghanaian government, which arrested him in a special military operation by joint defense and security forces at his base in the northern region town of Karaga, and brought him to Accra for questioning. 4 years later, after his incarceration behind bars for 2 weeks and subsequent discharge, the Sheikh agreed for the first time to a media interview. His name is Sheikh Sidi Dukuri, a member of a well-known religious family in Burkina Faso who has moved to settle in Ghana. I asked him about his view on the situation in the Saharan Sahel region and how Ghana could be impacted. The jihadists are attacking the areas that have been neglected by their country's government, economically isolated areas where the people are impoverished. You can travel several miles without seeing any architect of the state, no schools or health centers. This is the reality in Mali and Niger. On the other hand, the situation in Ghana is quite different. You cannot travel up to 30 kilometers in Ghana without seeing the presence of the state in communities. The level of impoverishment in Ghanaian communities is low as compared to those in the Sahel region. Why are the jihadists not attacking the southern cities of those countries? It is the lack of equal economic opportunities for those in the north that is fueling the situation. So it is now important for Ghanaian authorities to look in the direction of youth empowerment and education, else the state could find itself wanting. The Sheikh was speaking at a special Islamic prayer organized in memory of 8 Fulanis who were killed earlier in April this year at Zakolit near Yendi in the northern region by a local mob. According to the Fulani welfare group Tabital Pulako, more than 15 Fulanis have been murdered across the country since the beginning of this year. Fulanis in Ghana have long been targeted for deadly retaliatory violence amid sporadic communal conflicts between farmers and herders over land use, social inclusion, and ethnic tensions. The Sheikh fears the ongoing vigilantism against Fulanis may be exploited by violence extremist outfits for their malign activities if authorities do not act to end the impunity. If the authorities continue to act lackluster by failing or refusing to arrest and prosecute the perpetrators, they will continue to act with impunity. This is a scary situation that can provoke people to take up arms. Fulanis who have been born in Ghana know no other state than Ghana. They are citizens of the state and must be regarded as such. Reporting for JoyNews, Ilyasu Tanko, Nalirgo, Northeast Region.
Well, let's stay in the northeast region because a health center has been commissioned to provide access to emergency health care to the people of Buantarigu in the Nakpanduri district of the northeast region. The facility was provided in response to the plight of residents, especially pregnant women. There's more in this report by Ilyasu Tanko.
Due to the lack of a healthcare facility and the poor nature of the road, we are losing babies and pregnant women here. A lot of women have lost their pregnancies because of the nature of our road. But with the coming of this facility, we hope to see women having safe deliveries in this community. Women in the community of Buatargo recount the painful experience pregnant and labor patients are having to undergo to safely deliver their babies. In this small village located a few miles north of the town of Nakpanduri in the Bumpurgu-Nakpanduri district, the women say child delivery has become almost a matter of life and death. The road is in a poor state, so getting to the nearest facility in Nakpanduri is always a risky encounter for pregnant women. Many are those who have been left with severe complications, and others have lost their lives and babies. The community of nearly over 1,000 inhabitants is without a healthcare center even for emergency services, and people who fall sick have to travel by motorcycle or trek to either Nakpanduri or Bintiri, and most often further to the regional capital several kilometers away on a bad road for medical treatment. This has resulted in many preventable fatalities and health complications among other implications. Now, the situation is about to change with the commission of a CHIPS facility which will now bring healthcare to the doorsteps of the community folks and end the years of health inequalities they faced. At the commissioning ceremony, the Member of Parliament Abednego Bandim, who facilitated the construction of the facility, explained why he decided to seek help on behalf of the people of Boatargu.
During the 2020 electioneering campaign, I witnessed women suffer so much pain in order to give birth. There were occasions where I witnessed a woman give birth on the streets, in the gutter, with all due respect. And I thought that was so demeaning of our women to be given birth in gutters at this time in our history as a country. So after the elections, I thought it wise to seek for assistance from other non-governmental organizations to relieve the pain of our women.
He said the facility was funded by the global non-governmental organization, the Catholic Relief Services, through his unrelenting effort, and reminded the government of the New Patriotic Party to complete all critical social infrastructure that have been abandoned across the district.
I will say, anytime I'm speaking, they give me minutes, but no problem. I'm a politician. I will say that just as CRS has been kind enough for us, our government will also see to complete most of the abandoned projects in the district. It is very important. My senior brother is here, the regional minister, Your Excellency. I remember I was in your office about a year ago to plead with you that the bridges in Kambatiak, Nanya, up to Bumpurgu be completed. Please, I still plead that you use your influence as the regional minister to ensure that those projects are completed, and many other projects in the district that need to be completed.
The new facility was also provided with a tricycle ambulance and a motorbike for administrative duties of the staff. The commissioning ceremony was attended by both global and regional leaders of the CRS, staff of the Bumpurgu Napanduri District Assembly, including the District Chief Executive, the Regional Minister and his entourage, traditional and religious leaders and members of the community who were delighted and thanked CRS for the intervention. Ilyas Sutanko reporting from Boatargu in the Northeast region for JoyNews.
And let's take you to the Ashanti region. Former Municipal Chief Executive of Overi Krom, Gloria Tima Gambra, has challenged women to invest in themselves before they ask for positions of authority. She believes having been a female alone does not guarantee an opportunity in decision-making position, but competence is a necessity. She was speaking on the sidelines of the She Summit organized by Glitz Africa in Kumasi. There's more in the following report.
Sustainable Development Goal 5 on gender equality stipulates all forms of discrimination against women and girls everywhere comes to an end by 2030. Achieving this puts women in key decision roles in society. In Ghana, 40 out of the 275 members of parliament are women. To many, this shows the country is far from achieving gender equality. Ms. Gambra believes though enhanced advocacy is necessary in achieving gender parity, young women must be competent enough for available opportunities.
It will not be like they will have to sit for them to get the opportunities. And it was also telling them that we don't have to be included because we are women, but we have to get ourselves well prepared for us to be preferred. Other than that, nobody will recognize us. If we are talking about biases, you also know that it goes against women more than our counterparts male. So we need to do more work, make conscious efforts to make sure that we break those biases so that we can achieve the gender equality. How are we going to break these biases that we are talking about?
The She Summit Mentorship Africa, organized by Glitz Africa, was on the theme Breaking the Bias, Leading by Example for Sustainable Tomorrow. Prominent women from diverse fields inspired the over 500 young women present at the event. Founder of Glitz Africa, Claudia Lumo, is anticipating the event will positively affect the lives of the young people.
Bringing She Summit to Ashanti region is something that was really close to my heart, because I want those of us who are from Ashanti region, who by the grace of God, we are on a journey. I want us to be able to come to Ashanti region and inspire the young women. And today to see the turn up, to see the women, how they've been inspired, the young women, the questions they are asking, how you can see their faces being lit up because they've seen all these women that they only see on TV. To come to them and to talk to them has been very inspirational day for me. And I hope and I pray that we can keep this every year.
Danaya Ojima's reports for Joy News.
And now to our road safety campaign. Road safety analyst Cecil Gabra is advising drivers to pay attention to traffic indications on the road, especially when approaching pedestrian crossway. According to him, the growing disregard for these road safety regulations is a major cause of pedestrian knockdowns, contributing to the higher cases of accidents on the roads. He was speaking in an interview with JoyNews.
Slow down, start slowing down, I'll say 100 meters to the action place, that's a pedestrian crossing. And then for the pedestrians, they should wait for all the vehicles to stop before they start crossing, because if it's a dual carriage road, and that's where the problem lies, where those in the inner lane have stopped and then the outer lane will not stop and there will be a run over. Okay, so that's the first trick number one. Never run to cross the traffic light. Always walk, but don't use your phone whilst you are crossing the road. That's also one thing with pedestrian. Pedestrian safety is very good, and it's something that we always need to talk about.
And I think I'll just add this one. Don't be listening to loud music. Sometimes you block your ears with these big headphones and all of that. You can't hear anything and you're crossing the road.
Very, very true. So stop listening to music, stop talking on your phone. It's even risky to talk on the phone whilst you are crossing the road. Remember, I call them the operation directors on the motorcycles. They can easily take your phone and then off they go. You cannot chase them. Right. I mean, once we are talking about pedestrian, we should also talk about pedestrian safety and security. Remember to cross the road at the right place. Don't walk anywhere. When you are walking, walk and meet the oncoming vehicles. That is the trick.
And now pupils of Nalerigula Primary School in the East Mamprusi municipality have received a donation of furniture following the JoyNews report on the poor state of infrastructure, including the lack of teaching and learning materials at the school. The donation was presented by a group of native philanthropists based in the United Kingdom after the report revealed that teaching and learning were being hampered due to the lack of desks, among other infrastructure deficits. Leader of the group, Dr. Seydou Salifou, in an interview with JoyNews, invited other privileged individuals and entities to contribute to the development of the education in the Northeast region. Elias Otanko now reports.
The report highlighted the numerous plight that children who attend this school are having to face to acquire basic education. Located at the heart of the regional capital town, conditions in the school have been described as not conducive for any kind of academic activity. Classrooms are inadequate, plus a deplorable school building that is almost at the point of collapsing, and above all, children have to sit on the bare floor or hang over windows to take lessons due to the lack of furniture. The school children appeal for the intervention of the state authorities, as they said the situation was hampering teaching and learning in the school, a claim that was evident as only a few among them could properly speak English. Weeks after the report, a group of native philanthropists based in the UK have come together towards contributing to finding a lasting solution through the donation of over 30 pieces of metal decks to the school. The donation was presented to the Municipal Education Director in the presence of the pupils and their teachers by the leader of the delegation of the Mamprugu UK Ireland Group, Dr. Seydou Salifou.
We heard the JoyNews report regarding the lack of furniture of this particular school, and the executive together with the general membership decided to put some money together, and I was given that responsibility to come and present the furniture. Previously, I mean, we've done this before in West Mamprusi last year, and that was not last year, 2 years ago. We actually gathered furniture and shipped them across, and we realized that the cost of shipment is rather expensive, and the best thing is to be able to give jobs to people here. We rather commission the production of the tables and chairs that would last longer, and hence instead of wood we decided to go for the metal furniture for the school.
Considering the huge student population in the school, this donation is likely a drop in the ocean. Dr. Salifo has therefore called on other privileged groups and individuals, especially those from the region, to also contribute to the development of education in Mampurugu.
We are appealing to other organizations like ourselves within the country and even abroad to think about education as the core fabric of community development. As an educationist myself, I deem it important that the better educated we are, the better society we become. And any way, shape or form that we can support the system, we should in different ways. I don't think we should depend on the central government to provide everything. I think individuals should also make the effort to do something, and those who can should.
On his part, the chairman of the School's Parents Association, Guma Wuni Francis, thanked the group on behalf of the school children and their teachers, but also expressed worries over the state of the lower primary school building here. We are still appealing for more assistance. The school building has deteriorated to dangerous levels. Only 2 out of the 6 classrooms are in good shape. We are also pleading for more desks. Ilyas Sutanko reporting for Joy News, Nalirgu, Northeast Region.
And government is committed to transforming the colleges of education across the country. That's according to the Sector Minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, who has been speaking at the initial training conference, which is targeted at exploring the best way of further giving a facelift to colleges of education across the country. There's more in this report. The Colleges of Education Weekly Journal organized a 2-day national dialogue on initial teacher training held in Accra, which brought together stakeholders to assess 4 years into the transformation of colleges of education into degree-awarding institutions. Editor of the Weekly Journal, Larry Agbado, explains that the dialogue is targeted at raising consensus among stakeholders to explore the most optimum strategy which could be deployed to enhance the status of colleges of education across the country.
Let us all come out of this dialogue united in thoughts and the way forward for growth of our colleges of education. I have no doubt that the 46 public colleges of education will take giant steps in the process of development after this dialogue. Madam Chairperson, we are hopeful that participants will succumb to their personal preference to the national interest for an open conversation on the challenges facing the transformation of the colleges to offer quality education to students, teachers.
Robin Todd, Executive Director at Transformation Teaching, Education and Learning, says stakeholders must be unified in their thoughts in exploring creative ways to improve the colleges of education.
You produce 16,000 student teachers. And I know the student teachers, they get into school and they complain about the system, or the teachers aren't motivated, they're not doing right things, they're not behaving in the right way. And what I say to the student teachers is what I'll say to you now. You are the system. 16,000 of you every year is the system. In 2 years, that's 32,000. In 4 years, that's 64,000. If we keep focusing on what we're doing and we keep ensuring that these young people that we're training have the right knowledge, values, attitudes and behaviors, as the colleges, we will transform Ghana.
Keynote speaker Professor Anamoah Mensah urged various colleges to hold on to their core mandate of churning out quality teachers for the education sector.
In Singapore, teachers are described as nation builders. And indeed, that's what they are. Teachers are nation builders. The men and women we see in front of our classrooms, building the knowledge and skills of our children, they are nothing else but nation builders. If so, then the machinery that produces the nation builders, and that's the colleges of education, need also to be supported in such a way that they can produce the nation builders.
For his part, Education Minister Dr. Osei Yaw-Edochim pledged government support to transforming colleges of education across the country, adding that the training of quality teachers will go a long way to transform the entire education system.
So we need to create a new environment for teaching and learning where students will feel empowered. And it should begin in our colleges of education. The way we train our trainees will empower them to do something different when they get into the classrooms across the country. Our government is doing our part to make sure we can transform teaching and learning environment. We are not there yet in terms of transforming all schools, but we have done some work in that area and will continue to do more.
And in other news, if you're looking to keep your marriage for 30 years and over, former President John Dramani Mahama has revealed what has kept his marriage going. Speaking at the 30 years anniversary, Thanksgiving of his marriage to Lordina Mahama, the former president says he stopped arguing with his wife, and that has kept the marriage strong and going.
On our 25th anniversary, we did a Thanksgiving in the same church. And in the run-up to the Thanksgiving, we had gone to our pastor's office and were sitting with several of our friends, and she talked about 25 years of marriage and how she's done so well to keep this marriage. The marriage is alive because of her and all that. I was a bit younger and foolish at the time, and so Pastor Greg, I went into an argument with her about who has kept the marriage alive. And I said, it's rather me. I'm the more humble one, the more patient. And we had an argument, And so when we finished, then we were leaving our pastor's house. Kweje, who's my spiritual mentor, called me back and said, why do you argue with her? You can never win that argument. So, so just don't try. And so I said, okay. Fast forward. 5 years later, 30th anniversary, and it's like deja vu. We're in the same office with almost the same people there in preparation to this 30th anniversary, and the same thing she said about how the marriage has survived because of her, and men, you are a handful, to manage, and I've done well to manage this man. And then what my pastor said kicked in. I remember he said, you never win this argument. So I called all of them and I said, oh, Pastor Ben, Pastor Kweje, all of you come and thank this woman so much for me. She's been my pillar of strength. But for her, this marriage would have broken down long ago. She's tolerated me. Men were so troublesome. She's done very well. And then she was quiet for a while. And then she looked at me and said, did they put something in your tea this morning? So thank you all very much.
Very inspiring. But that's how we wrap up here on The Pulse on the JoyNews channel. My name is Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates on all of our stories there for you. We'll see you again tomorrow.